gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Friday in the Quad Cities. It is Friday, June 20th. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Today is a gloomy, rainy Friday morning here in the Quad Cities. A good excuse to stick inside for a little bit before you start your weekend and check out Off the Air as we get ready for the weekend. TGIF. Friday is officially here. Got a lot to get to on today's show. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. Subscriptions are doing very well. But go ahead, subscribe and like and all those kind of fun things. And if you have, we thank you. If you haven't, tell a friend or 2 or 10 about what we're doing each and every weekday right here in the Quad Cities. We're also live on X. X has been very good to us, so we love that as well. And of course, you can check out each and every show on every podcast platform available to mankind. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good. I think it's true. So check out the show later on if you're out going for a run or traveling around this weekend. Check out today's show and, of course, all the other shows throughout the week right here on OTA. A lot to get to on today's show. Yesterday, a little frustrating. Jake Brend joined us. Great chat with him. We're supposed to have Pat Anger, and technology frustrated me yesterday. But we caught up with Pat last night. So we recorded that. Really good stuff. We actually, Pat gave some homework to Pat. He did some, he ranked the top 5 football games from the Kirk Ferentz era. And he takes us through them. It's going to be really fun. It's only a matter of moments away. Pat Anger right around the corner. Also, my good friend John Bohnenkamp joins me to talk about Iowa basketball. The media got a glimpse at Ben McCollum and his team at a practice yesterday. Got about 30 minutes there. You've probably seen a ton about it on social media. John was there the entire time, breaks down what he liked, what he expects, all of those kind of things. So we'll chat with John Bohnenkamp coming up in just a little bit. And then also we'll talk about a little Caitlin Clark, Kate Martin matchup last night in the WNBA and a bunch more. So a lot to get to on today's show. As I mentioned, a busy week here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Dave Heller from the River Bandits, Doug Bland from the Quad City Steamwheelers, and Andrew Lehman from the John Deere Classic. All were on this week, a kind of a Quad City week as we get ready for a big summer. The Wheelers 9-2 on the season, looking to get to 10-2 on the road this weekend, and then they're back for 3 of the last 4 games and probably a lot more after that. The Bandits fell last night, but they've had a fantastic season. They're looking to clinch that first half. So we talked to Dave Heller, and then the John Deere Classic is literally right around the corner. I think it's a week from today. The final field will be set for the John Deere Classic. It continues to grow and add to it. Andrew Lehman chatted with us earlier this week as well, I believe on Wednesday. So check out that show as well. Some stuff exciting for next week. We have locked down Shauna Green. She will be on the show next Tuesday. So Tuesday's edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, Illinois women's basketball coach, and of course Clinton native Shauna Green will be on the show with us. We're going to get Cooper Koch on the show on Monday. Excited about that. And then also efforting to get Logan Lee back on the show before the NFL season kind of hits full swing and training camps and all those kind of things. So a busier week next week, probably a shorter week next week. We got a son playing baseball out of town later that week, and we're also getting ready for the John Deere Classic. So at least 3, probably 4 shows next week as we continue our way through the summer right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Football season is crazy. We'll be here before you know it. I want to get to some Friday morning headlines before we get to our guests today, and we start with the WNBA last night because All eyes. And how crazy is that? The NBA Finals is going on, and I'm not kidding. I think more people were watching WNBA basketball late last night than anything else. It was Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin renewing their acquaintances out in Golden State. And you can see a nice little exchange here when Caitlin made it to the court, a little joking gesture to Kate Martin. They went out to dinner, according to Caitlin, the night before. Kate Martin held her own. I mean, not like they were going one-on-one or anything, but Kate Martin, a nice game, played 20 minutes, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Caitlin Clark, 34 minutes, only 11 points. Didn't make a 3 of 14 from the field. 9 assists, 7 rebounds, so did everything, nearly a triple-double, but did have 6 turnovers. And more importantly than the battle, the war goes to Kate Martin and the Valkyries. They win this one 88-77. Both teams now 6-6 on the season. So fun if you're an Iowa fan to watch 2 of the bests and 2 that were just in the Iowa uniform 2 years ago going head-to-head. Obviously very good friends. And both teams are good basketball teams. So fun to see Kate Martin getting her footing, I guess, out in Golden State, playing well off the bench, 20 points last night. So a lot of eyes on the WNBA last night, and for good reason. And how about the crowd out in Golden State? I think it was like their 5th or 6th straight sellout. Obviously, Kate and Clark's there, so it's going to be a sellout. But they're doing it without Caitlin there. And that's the first time in a while that I've watched a Fever road game and didn't hear cheering for the Fever, if that makes any sense. Usually they have a big following them, or Caitlin Clark fans in the stands. Last night, great environment, Golden State, the Valkyries, a new WNBA franchise, but playing really good basketballs. Both teams 6-6. So I thought it was ironic or funny that like last night, it's the NBA Finals Game 6, and I went to social media, and I think there was more, at least on my timeline, more talk about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark and Kate versus Caitlin and that game than there almost was Game 6 of the NBA Finals between the Pacers and the Thunder. And what's intriguing about that is we now finally have a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. It was the Pacers taking care of business in impressive fashion last night, hammering the Thunder, winning that one easily, 108-91 the final. The difference in this game was late in the first half, a 30-9 run by Indiana. Kind of put things away. A dud for OKC, kind of surprising, but it sets up the 2 best words in sports. Game 7 coming up on Sunday back in OKC, and it's been an entertaining series. And the one thing that's kind of bugged me about the NBA playoffs was there's been some rare, huge blowouts, some absolute bad games. My hope for Sunday night is that it's a really good basketball game. I really don't have a horse in the race when it comes to who I'm rooting for. I would just love to see a really good Game 7, that game in OKC. So 2 young teams that were built the right way, kind of fun to see as well. So Game 7, Thunder and Pacers, I believe, on Sunday night. We mentioned it just a little bit ago, but the Bandits fall last night at home, 8-4. They're still trying to get that first half clinched, so we'll see if they can get that done this week as well. They're here all weekend. They're here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so get down. Of course, it's Fireworks Friday and probably a whole bunch more. Dave Heller was on the show earlier this week. They have something every single day. It's amazing what they do down there, but Bandits looking to get back on track coming up later on today and then throughout the weekend down at Modern Woodman Park. So it's a quick look at some of the things going on. Trying to do that each and every morning, kind of giving you a reset on some of the headlines. I thought about it this morning. Like, this is easy. This is what I used to do for a living, but it's going to get funky when it's basketball season or football season, when there's something that's going on and there's a lot to talk about. These segments might get a little bigger and bigger, which is kind of fun as well. So, but of course, one of the things we love to do here is talk to guests, and our first guest is someone I tried to get on yesterday. I was efforting, it was frustrating, but without further ado, we caught up not late last night, but we caught up with Pat Anger last night. And finally joining us this week, the one and only Pat Anger. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I'm very happy to see you.
It's been too long.
No.
We had a struggle trying to get together, so I'm very happy.
Thursday was not
here.
fun. Thursday was and it happened last week with Cole Rusk. So it's like, I guess badass football players have trouble coming on the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you would think an Iowa guy could figure it out over an Illinois guy, but I think we're just both equally the same. And fortunately, I did train Cole Rusk, when he was in 7th grade, so I take all the credit there. And maybe I rubbed off on him a little bit too much.
Yeah, probably did, but that's okay. We're here now. Before we talk about anything else, because I gave you homework, and I'm pretty excited about the homework I gave you. And I stole it from Tom Kakert.
Hard.
I stole it from Kakert, so I hope he doesn't get too mad at me. But the golf outing,
Sure
we didn't win. But I feel like we would have won if you would have, and you did a great job. And I'll tell people, I set the over-under at the front 9, and you were there by hole 7. So you missed 6 holes. But I feel like we finished 14 under. I feel like we probably would have finished 20 under if you would have been there from the get-go.
Yeah, if you guys would have let me keep score from the very beginning, we would have done a lot better.
I believe
it was tough.
that.
It was. I tell you, we came together. We played hard. We had a good group, solid group. Old Coach Rusty Van Wetzinga was with us.
Rusty's good.
Dude, he's jacked. He's in shape still.
He was hands down the best. He was in the best shape of anybody in our group, right?
Yes, by far.
Now, Joe's handsomer. Joe's Silver Fox, that kind of thing. But and I thought he did a great job. And he put up with us nicely. I think he fit in great.
Yeah, he did. He did put up with us nicely, which I do appreciate. He was a fun addition, and it was a good round. I feel bad I had to show up a little bit late, but it was weird. Showing up late, then we got done, and I was ready for more. I wasn't. I was used to kind of sobering up during that back 9. I had to sober up eating some chips and salsa. Okay,
so a couple things. One, on the second hole, we did the dice. I spent $50 just to get a 2. It's $10 a roll, Pat. It was. We went 5, 5, 5, 6. What do we? And at that point, I'm pot committed. I'm not walking away now. I gotta keep going. Yeah. So he rolled a 2. I think that was a big deal and a big difference. And then also, it was a struggle when you got there. I lost my phone. It just things went sideways when you got there, didn't it?
They did. Got a little rough. You guys had a little bit of a head start on me when it comes to that stuff. So things did a little bit sideways there. But we found the phone. And we were able to get our groove there going on the back 9.
Did you see what happened with the Iowa-Illinois teams?
I heard about it. Heard there was a putt off.
Yeah, the Illinois boys knocked it down. Cole got it done. I mean, it was his buddy who hit it, but he took that stuff seriously, which I appreciate, right?
Yeah, I guess. Whatever.
Okay, let's get to the task at hand. And the task at hand is so Tom's doing this for a really good podcast for his Hawkeye Report, and they do everything so professionally, and they research and study and all those kind of things. But they're doing, because it's year 27 for Kirk Ferentz, they're ranking the top 27 games of the Kirk Ferentz era.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made it really easy for you.
Tough.
Well,
no,
I didn't give you 27.
I would rather than 27.
Okay, so we're going to focus on 5, the top 5, and we'll go 5 to 0. I want to start with, I guess off the bat, you don't have to tell us which ones, but how many are from the 09 season on your list?
2.
Okay.
But I did 6. Because I couldn't leave this one out.
Oh, I think I know what that one is. Okay, so do you want to go, let's go 6 to 1?
Can I start with my honorable mention?
Yeah, do your honorable mention.
Because I feel like these need attention.
Okay.
So honorable mention, the 2004 win against number 9 Wisconsin, 30-7, and it was a closer game than 37, but it clinched Coach's second Big Ten title. And I remember watching that on TV, and it seemed like one of the best atmospheres in Kinnick.
That's nice. That's a good one.
2017 Iowa State. We beat them in overtime 44-41 or 42, 44-42 or 44.
Was that the Akram Wadley game where he went crazy?
I think so.
Yeah, you have no
Possibly.
clue. You
Nope.
have no. What year was that?
That was 2017.
Okay, so these your honorable mentions, or these your
These
is
are
that
my-
number 5?
These are my honorable. These
Okay.
are my honorable mentions.
Okay.
2019, Iowa. That's when Iowa beat the hell out of USC in the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah.
Remember that?
With Nate Stanley.
That. Yeah, 49-24.
Okay.
This one, like a lot of these are super
how many
tough.
honorable mentions do you have?
I have a lot of honorable mentions because you could really throw these in there. The 2004 one, because it was hard because I wanted to put ones in there that like they meant something to the program, but also that were like really, really good games. Like it super, super tough to put because you have some games that were like really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, the season didn't turn out too well, blah, blah, blah. 2004, the 6-4 win against Penn State. And that one was after Coach Ferentz' dad passed. Like that was an emotional game. And that was awesome. That's one that everybody talks about still.
I think that was one of the first times. Hold on. I think that was first times that we had emotional Kirk. Like after the game, he was really emotional and all those kind of things. But no, I completely agree.
I remember the video of Brian giving him a hug like that, and all the coaches hugging him. Like that was a cool one.
Yeah.
2008. Now this one could easily, obviously, made the top 5. Daniel Murray with the walk off against Penn State and Kinnick. The crowd rushes the field. That was a tough one to stay off.
That's real close.
Yes. And Penn State was top 5. Penn State was top 5 in the nation. If they would have beat us, I think they probably would have possibly played for a natty.
Who was their quarterback? It's the same one that you beat, Clark?
Yeah. God, what's his first name? Good guy.
Is he?
I was glad
Is he
that he
a good
let
guy?
us. Glad that. Yeah, because we beat him. You know, if we lost to him, I'd be like, the guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. I
Daryl
want to say it
Clark
was like
his name.
Rashawn Clark or something like that, but it wasn't.
Daryl Clark.
Daryl, there you go.
Yep.
Let me know when you get to your top 5.
2015, Iowa beat Nebraska to end the regular season undefeated. And really, you could put any time we beat Nebraska.
Dude, that game was so cold. So cold. We went to it, and like I was so mad at Kaker because he was up in the press box. It was freezing outside. Like it was like -40 wind chill and stuff like that. It was awful. But yeah, what's his name? Parker Hesse had the pick 6.
Yeah.
Really good game.
Yep.
Yeah, really good game.
I like Parker.
Oh, all right. Get some vodka. Get some vodka.
No, this is Kirkland's finest.
All right.
Number 6. And this one's like, these are tough, man.
Okay.
These are tough. Number 6, the 2009 Iowa Hawkeyes go up to Happy Valley and beat a top 5. I want to say they were number 3, Penn State. Claiborne blocks the punt. Well, first of all, we trailed the whole game. They scored a touchdown on the first play of the game. We trailed the whole game.
Was that your
Claiborne
fault?
blocks the punt. No, it wasn't.
Okay, I'm just curious.
No, it was just a go route. No, I mean, trust me, I had my fair share of faults on touchdowns, but that wasn't one of them.
All right, I'm just asking.
We were down the whole game until in the fourth quarter, Claiborne blocked that punt, and then there was no turning back, and that was a big turning point in that season, and obviously we ended up to be the greatest team of all time.
All right, I like it.
2002, Iowa wins against Minnesota, clinches Coach Ferentz's first Big Ten title. And that season and that team catapulted Iowa Hawkeye football into what it is today.
What'd they do after the game?
What do you mean? Oh, they didn't. Oh, yeah, they stole the field goal.
They tried to take the goalposts out of the Metro. Why were they in the Metrodome? I think they were. I think they were playing the Metrodome inside the dome.
Yeah.
They tried to get out.
Come here.
And they couldn't get out.
My dog. Come here.
You might need to turn a light on. You're starting to get a little tough to see.
I don't have any lights out here. It's weird that it's getting darker in the morning. I don't get it.
Or almost like we're recording this the night before or whatever. Put your phone light on you.
Yeah, but then I can't read.
Oh yeah, you're good. You can't read to begin with. You're fine. Don't worry about it. No.
Does this help?
No, yeah, that's perfect. All right. We don't need to see you as long as we can hear you. So, look at
actually,
that
the
dog.
phone actually helps.
Yeah.
The phone actually helps. 2015.
All right.
Iowa, Pittsburgh, and Kinnick, 27-24. Greg Greenwood leads the team out in the Swarm, one of the most emotional starts to any game in college football history. And then Marshall Kane with the walk-off. was it 57-yard field goal.
I don't think
And he had-
Kakert and some of his guys. I think Kyle was on the show when he started talking about it. No, I can't remember. No, you know what we did? We talked about it on the Hawkeye Report podcast when we had Zach Johnson on. Tom just tossed it to us.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what do you think?
Yeah.
And Zach and I are like, well, Jesus, come on, what do you got to do here? So
Yeah.
I put that one out there, and I don't think they're going to have it in their top 10.
That should be
might.
because that's what that was really something that lifted their season to an undefeated regular season.
In my opinion, that's
I'm going to punch Tom.
I can't wait. In my opinion, that's the best game I've ever covered.
Yeah.
My favorite experience at Kinnick Stadium. Obviously, I'm pot committed. I have the tie with Brett and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, me and Anthony Panicucci did a kick-ass story where we had you mic'd up. And if I could have taken the stuff that we didn't use from the mic up and put it out to social media, we would. And that was, we had to clip you out because you started crying. And then you started cursing because you were crying. So we had to nip that part out of it just so that we could use it. But and then the way the game, I remember watching the game going, they're going to blow this whole thing. Like this was the night, it was storybook, and then they're going to lose.
Yeah.
And then the win the way they did. I was kind of hoping you would have forgotten about it and not putting it on there.
I would never.
I love the
forget
fact
about
that you did.
but-
Okay, so number 3. Now you're down to some stuff here.
Yeah. 2017 Woodshed 52242 Iowa 55 Ohio State 24.
Yeah.
Now that's a tough one because the season didn't end up great. It didn't start great. But that was just just a perfect game for Iowa. That was perfect. Just kicked the crap out of them. They came in, we whooped them. Like that was one. That was a really freaking good one. That was one that fans talk about all the time.
I think on that Hawkeye Report podcast, Zach Johnson said that he knows Urban Meyer, and he talked to him about it recently, and he goes, they just kicked our ass that day. There was nothing we could have done. They just kicked our ass that day. And I love that. I love hearing that. I love the fact. Yeah, that's right there. I'm trying to think right now. Okay, I have 3 left that would be in my top 5. So I'm intrigued. Go on.
I could have missed one.
I know. I'm hoping you did. Go on.
2004 Capital One Bowl win, Tate Holloway.
See, Tom thinks that's number 1. I think he said that.
Of course he does. Now, that was a Big Ten championship football team that ended I think they were co-Big Ten champs that year. So, yeah, like that's – and that honestly, dude, that 2004 to 2000 – or that 2002, 2004, those eras, like that's what made Iowa football like what it is. Mm-hmm. Like those guys are the legends. Those guys are the freaking building blocks. Like those guys are the ones that pushed Iowa football to the next level.
Here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
As you get really, really, I can almost barely see it, but that's okay. It's almost
How about
better.
now?
No, it's even worse. No, actually, it's better. But here's the thing with that one. It was the one thing about that play that people talk about. I love it. I can remember where I was, all that kind of stuff. They messed the play up. Like if they would have done things correctly, it wouldn't have been a walk off the way it was. But it worked out. It worked out perfect. And then that game didn't win. I mean, didn't win it wasn't a BCS game, was it, Pat?
Well,
let's
was
go.
Not.
We'll go to number 1 then. I have a feeling, a sneaky suspicion on what number 1 is going to be.
The 2009 Orange Bowl victory, Coach Ferentz' first BCS win, made the 2019 the highest ranked team in Coach Ferentz' history, the hottest team in football with the hottest linebacker in America, the best looking dude in the middle, and the craziest
AJ
group.
Eads. You're talking about Eads, right?
No, he was on the outside. They put the other guys on the outside.
But you said best
just
looking,
the craziest group of dudes I've ever been with, and that was a really good one. And it just seeing the emotions from the coaches in the locker room, and Coach Norm Parker, just the smile, because that was his game. That was the reason why we kicked the crap out of him. That was because of Coach Norm Parker. That was all him right there. And I think of Iowa football, I think of guys like Coach Parker, the best.
Yeah. No, okay, a couple things. Here's
Which one am I missing
about that game? In my opinion, there's one, but it's more. I'll get to it. But about the game that you're just talking about, I remember Norm like placing the, remember the press conference? I don't know if you ever saw it, but he showed people how he was going to stop the triple option by using like, he's like, well, you got a guy here, and he starts using bottles to place it. And he basically told it, oh, there he is, telling us a ghost story. Well, yeah, just like a little ambiance. Yeah, that's there
word.
you go. Yeah, it's a little,
that's
there
word.
You go. Not right on you. Not right on.
Oh,
there
God.
you go. That kind of works. Just point it off in the kind of, that's it.
It's better.
There you are. Well, look at you. Okay. No, and he did that. It was great. And then also, that was the last day of your freedom. Which, by the way, is the best thing that ever happened to you. You know that.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So you got engaged after the game.
Yeah, not like, I'm not one of those nerds that does it on the field, right? I did it at the Fountain Blue like an honorable, cool guy.
What's at the where?
She regrets it ever since. Well, we stayed at the Fountain Blue, that hotel we stayed at or whatever down there, with all the people to slick back.
Were there people around?
No, no people.
Was
around.
it in the lobby or was it? I don't want to get too intimate here. Or was it in the? Was it in the bedroom?
No, it was off on the beach.
Okay, that's even worse. Indecent exposure. That's terrible.
That's just bad, doesn't it?
I'm kidding. Oh, here's the one. What about 7 Got 6?
Yeah, I forgot about that one, but I didn't want to put. You're right. That I would have to probably put that one on an honorable mention because, like, how do you? Gosh, I forgot about that one. How do I forget about that?
The
one?
Orange Bowl doesn't happen if that game doesn't happen. Now, here's the thing: was it a good game,
God, that's a
or
great
was it a good game, or was it a good finish?
So that's what you struggle with. Do you go off of like just the game being great, or do you go off of what it meant to the, to the program? Like that's what I struggled with.
Because the staple games in that season was 7 Got 6 and Penn State.
Yep, and Michigan State. Yep.
And so, but I would think, I remember Penn or Michigan. I remember them both really well. So I was doing weekends at the time, and like my buddy Ian Jacobs and I would always go get some type of Mexican food from someplace. We'd always mix it up, and then we'd come back and watch football that night. We usually, when we were done working, all that kind of stuff throughout the evening. And I remember getting up when 7 Got 6, and I spanked Kiddo as hard as I could. Ian, and he got mad at me and chased me. It was great. It was awesome. But
that's
the one.
Yeah, that's one that I missed. But then also it's like I didn't want to put too many. Obviously, we were the greatest team ever, but I didn't want to put too many of our games on there.
You've got some really good ones. I'm waiting for Tom Caker.
We made it very difficult. We made it extremely difficult, didn't we?
Yeah.
In 2009.
No, man. Oh. But you know what? The ball bounce, because you start with, it's not on the list, but the UNI game to start the freaking season was ridiculous. Was there anything comfortable that year? What was the biggest blowout game that year? You had a couple, didn't you?
I can't even think. I can't even remember. Oh, Iowa State. We kicked the crap out of them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that's Iowa State. They suck. So, of course, we're supposed to do.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we shut out Minnesota in the last game, but it was like a 17-0 win. And honestly, and it sounds bad, but like Indiana was technically a blowout. It was just the last week. I mean, we covered, but we didn't. I don't think we were winning until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Would
you put anything? I mean, you look at your list. You don't have anything. The most recent is 2017, and that was the Ohio State. You did have Nate Stanley. And that game out against USC. What year was that?
Yeah.
2019?
That was 2019, I think. 2019.
So did you, what was it, 2 years ago? Did you not have anything?
There was a big Penn State victory. Gosh, and I can't think of it right now.
No, just a couple years ago at Kinnick Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one has to be on my top. Oh boy. I haven't done a top 5.
I don't know.
I was mad at Tom. Go ahead.
No, it's tough because it's all. I don't know. I don't know how you. Yeah, well, hopefully there's some good ones this year. Maybe that Albany game's going to be a good.
The one against Penn State a couple years ago that's probably the loudest I've ever heard at Kinnick Stadium. Now, and then you can tell me, and I don't know how much you're down on the field during a game, but since they
0%.
enclosed that end zone and changed and remodeled that side, I think it's louder than what it was before they remodeled that. And that's been a minute. It's been a little bit, but it wasn't like that when you were there. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and it was really noticeable in like the Washington game, for example. I mean, the amount of false starts in that one when they were down there, like you want to pin them back there so bad. And our fans do such a good job getting behind our players. Like it's, I mean, they're second to none. And I mean, you can damn near feel the windows shake up in the press box. It's pretty cool.
What was what's the loudest you ever heard Kinnick? Do you have a moment or like for you that you were there?
Dude, I mean, honestly, like every time I was trying to call a freaking play, it seemed like it was the loudest place in the world because nobody could hear me. And then I'm
so that's probably frustrating because and you always think about they're messing with the offense, but you got to communicate as well.
Yeah, but I just be like, hey, we'll just run this. I mean, we ran one defense basically, so I'm like, just freaking run the same thing we just ran. All right, like figure it out. Yeah, I would honestly probably Daniel Murray in 2008. When he had that walk-off field goal against Penn State, and then too, like, dude, the cheers when Greenwood was walking out.
Oh,
dude,
I still get. That's probably, I mean, and he centers around a couple of them, but that's probably one of my favorite stories I ever got to do. Plus the fact that and I feel like I'm bragging on myself, but it wasn't me. My photographer, Anthony Panicucci, and I shot the heck out of it because that's just the moment. Like you have to get we had a GoPro going, you were mic'd up, I was shooting, he was shooting. We got the interviews done right afterwards. The game's going on, so Anthony's shooting the game while I'm like writing the story, and that's the quickest thing I ever wrote, which ended up being great. And I just let you guys do most of the talking, and I just and then I voiced it, and then I went out and I handed off with Anthony, and I covered the game while he edited it, and like we had it ready to go at 10 o'clock that night. Like off the top of the news, which was like really cool. But that place was just rocking, and then the way it finished and that dude. Okay, so let me recap them for you. You did a bunch of honorable mention just so you don't get in trouble. 09, number 6 is 09 at Happy Valley. Number 5, 2002, up at Minnesota, Kirk Ferentz's first Big Ten championship. They rip the goalposts down, take them out, all that kind of stuff. Number 4, I'm going to call it the Brett Greenwood game, but we're also Penn State, Marshall Kane hitting the field goal to win it. Number 3 against Pittsburgh. Number 3, 2007, 55-24 ass kicking of Ohio State. I'd flip-flop those two. I would, but I like your list. 2004 Capital One Bowl. I like the fact that it's not number 1. I don't know why. I just feel like it wasn't a lucky play, but I just feel like it wasn't the way they drew it up, if that makes any sense.
Well, like when you look at any highlights of Iowa football, that's on there. Like that's a staple in Iowa football history. Like that's got to be,
awesome moment. And then who was the quarterback that they were playing against?
Oh, was it Jamarcus?
Yeah,
Russell?
Jamarcus Russell. Yep. And the number 1 is the 2009 Orange Bowl, Kirk's. So you guys finished what? His first BCS Bowl victory. What'd you finish overall that season?
7th.
Like in the ranking? 7th?
7th.
And that's the highest he's ever finished?
Yeah.
Are you making that up?
I think 2002, they were like 8.
What about 15? They finished 15.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, they got their butts kicked by Stanford. No, they got their butts kicked by Stanford that year.
No, that's 2015. They got their butts kicked by Stanford. In 2002, they finished 8. I think. But
I was wondering Go ahead.
I'm happy that we played Georgia Tech instead of that USC team that that they played in 2002. Like that team was pretty good.
I think I've told you this, and you might remember the numbers, but that was my first year of gambling. So it was 2009. So Charlie was born that year. And so I remember I took some time off when the kid was born and stuff. And it led right into the holidays. And so I'm like, I'm going to start, it was offshore, but I'm like, I'm going to start gambling. Jen's like, that's fine. I put $100 in the account. And at the end of football season, I was going to take out whatever I had. And it was getting to that game. And it was, I probably had, I probably had, I don't know, $180, $190. But for me, that's a big deal. I mean, I'm not rich like you. And
Watch it.
so
You gotta walk.
I'm like, Wheezy's like, hey, I'm like, I think it's going to be the under, you know? And I'm like, and then Wheezy's like, but if it's going to be the under, which you're probably right, then no, here he goes. He said, Iowa's going to win outright. And it was you guys are 3.5 point dogs.
Oh, we were underdogs.
Yes. Kind of
That's
pisses you off. Kind of pisses you off, doesn't it?
I'm pissed because I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
So I can't remember the over-under. I should go look at it, but it was like 38 or what was the final score?
I want to say it was 34-24.
No. It was the under. And Wheezy's like,
because they had a pick six, a field goal, and a touchdown. Did they have two field goals? I can't remember.
You had a really good game, didn't you?
Well, we only had like 10 or 12 tackles, but it was good enough.
24-14.
Okay, good.
You're like
so
34-24. But the over-under was,
the
over-under.
And then they scored the first drive of the third quarter.
I think the over-under was 38.5. I'll let you do the math.
Wow.
So, but Wheezy's like, hey, if you think they're going to win outright, it's going to be the under because that's how Iowa rolls. You know, they're going to play defense. And I'm like, okay, so I parlayed the two together. So I did under 38.5 and Iowa money line when they were 3.5 point dogs. And I bought Wheezy. It was honestly, I'm sitting there and he's like, just do it. And I'm like, I clicked it and I was like, oh my God, I did it. And then they won. I was so happy. It was life-changing for me at that time. So, and still today, cause I'm unemployed. So I wish I could do that in these days. But, no, it was, I like this list. I'm going to give this list. I'm going to make Hakert watch and then we're going to go ahead and see, and he's going to critique it the next time he's on.
And you've got to throw the 7-6 on there. So I mean, I think it's got to be honorable mention. I think it's got to be. But I don't know. Like the thing is that in Penn State, I mean, those are the same ones. I feel like the same.
I think.
Gosh,
I think seven got 6
right.
is different. I think it's
the emotion behind that. They had scored. We were up. Then they had scored on some flea flicker. No, they got yards on a flea flicker and then scored on a 4 verticals against cover 2, and then I mean we didn't have a lot of time left. It was under 2 minutes.
You walked it off.
Yeah, it was under 2 minutes and we got the ball.
We got the ball back. I got what you're saying. I mean, it was
big Rick Stanzi.
And the thing is, man, like the finish was better. I think the environment was bigger against Penn State, like that environment, and it was raining, and like they had the white out like they always do. I remember when they came on national TV and me going, "Oh man, they're gonna get their asses kicked. Like this is not gonna go well." And it went great. So I personally, and you're the All-American. I'm just a guy that has a show in his loft and it offends people during it sometimes. And he I would put. I think Michigan State is ahead of that one. So,
but then it's like you got to fit in. You have to fit in the first Big Ten championship. You have to fit in that.
Well, let's be honest. If you did top 5, like which was what the assignment was, neither of those 2 games are in it because Happy Valley is number 6.
I just worked on this like 20 minutes ago.
No, did you? No. Can you imagine doing 27 games like Tom? So Tom, it's like Tom. All the guys at the Hawkeye Report, I was kind of cranky because, like, I would have liked to have been asked. Like, you think if you were friends with an Iowa All-American who's now the voice of Iowa athletics, like yourself, think he would have asked you to do it?
Yeah.
Like, vote.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Like, you know what? It's a ballot. So, like, you thought, like, and me, like, I promote his stuff all the time to the 15 people that watch my show. You'd think he would have been like, hey, we'll let these guys hop on. But no. What's
that's the issue with our voting. It's issues with our voting nowadays anyway. It's all messed up anyway. You know,
it would have been hanging chads and all that kind of stuff anyways. Is that a thing anymore? Hanging chads is a long time ago. I don't
even know what that means.
See, oh man. Okay. What's your weekend look like before I let you go?
It looks well. Only one kid's playing baseball, and unfortunately it's at TBK, so it's going to be at 7,000 degrees.
It's going to be awful.
Yeah, it's
So
not going to be
have
great.
you ever seen? You haven't been to Hitman in a while, have you?
No,
Don't
I
be
try
nice.
not.
Be nice. Be nice.
I mean, if I'm paying $15 to get in, I'd rather just pay the extra 10 and go to TBK.
They're still charging at TBK? I thought it was free now after you got done with them
Well,
earlier in the year.
I mean, it's not much. It's not much more expensive to go to TBK than Hitman. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, it is. It's $10. That's hey, $10 is
Spread
a
that over
meal to
3
you,
days.
but it means a big deal to me, as Mr. Wendell once said.
But I'll pay $10 for like workable bathrooms.
So,
You know.
but what I'm getting at is my oldest works down at the Hitman now, and
Yeah.
like he's got 2 like 8-hour days, Saturday and Sunday, and he's chalking fields and doing that kind of stuff. And I'm like, the kids, they go in and out. They get like he's going to get his rear end off. But we got one in Iowa City and we got one in Peoria.
Where at in Iowa City?
Coralville at a baseball diamond. I don't know.
I like the Coralville, the little was it the fourplex that's got the thing over the top in the middle?
There's a lot of nice places anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be, because I'm old, like my oldest is 15, but when we started, like it was like everything was at Hitman, and then like the TBK came along, and then every area you go to, Peoria is nice. They're decent down there. But anyways, it's going to be a long
It's
weekend
almost
of
like
baseball.
they realize that like youth sports is a good way to make money.
Is it? They make money off it? I thought they did it for fun.
That's true. So your kid's playing it's the Illinois State tournament, right? This weekend
Down in Peoria.
Yeah. Which is weird that Illinois with their state, which I just found out recently, is it's an open state, which means people from all different states can play and win state in Illinois.
It's
doesn't
weird.
make any sense.
It's weird.
Doesn't make any sense.
There's like 16 teams in the bracket, and it's one of those where like you play one on Friday, you play one on Saturday, and then you could play again on Saturday night. So you have to like wait to see bracket play and all that kind of stuff. They just keep you there the whole day. My wife is all excited because I think the one plays in Iowa City at like 10 and noon and on Saturday, and then the other one plays at like 4 in Peoria. And she's like, we can get to all 4 of them, all 3 games. I'm like, I don't want to get done watching 2 games of baseball and then drive 2.5 hours to watch another kid play baseball. Like it's one or the other, not both. Yeah. So we tried to get into the like with Charlie's Hitman team, we tried to get into the Iowa state tournament, and they kicked us out last year.
Why, did you have too many Illinois kids or something?
Yeah, we had too
What's
many
the
Illinois
rule
kids. I don't know if it's like at least half have to be from Iowa. We were.
Yeah.
I mean, we were cheating. It's like you playing golf. We're just trying to win. But
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the name of the game. Well, you have no idea how happy I am to see your face right now. Like, it's not very often. It's not very often, but like it was a pain in the ass on Thursday, and I was a little frustrated. And then I put my kid on, and I got a little more frustrated. So it's great to see you. Enjoy your weekend, and hopefully we talk a little easier sometime soon.
Love you, man. Can't wait
buddy.
to see you
Be
again,
good.
my friend.
The one and only Pat Anger joining us live right here on a Friday morning or pre-taped, whatever it is. Great to talk to Pat. That's a really good list as well. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Friday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Hey, Quad Cities, you looking for a night of action, unity, and appreciation? We've got something special for you. Saturday night, June 28th, join the Quad City Steamwheelers for Military Night as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. We're honoring our heroes, all active duty and former military, get in free. It's football, community, and a chance to show gratitude. Bring your family and friends for a night to remember. Get your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets. Let's stand together and cheer together.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a gloomy, rainy Friday morning here in the Quad Cities. Of course, we've talked a lot about it on the show. I joke with people that, you know, what's been really good for business for OTA was the coaching search at the University of Iowa, the coaching situation, if you will. And of course, there is a new head coach, Ben McCollum, taking over. Workouts just starting recently, and on Thursday they opened things up to the media. And of course, in attendance was is it okay to say longtime beat writer for the Iowa? Everything, Iowa football, Iowa basketball, all that kind of stuff. John Bohnenkamp joining me right now. First and foremost, young man, welcome to OTA. It's sad that it's been 5 months and I've yet to have you on the show. Thanks for doing this.
I agree. Every time I'd see who you'd have on, I'm like, why am I not on? No, thanks for having me on. So.
Yeah, and nobody likes Kakert. Like, it's like every time Iowa comes up, it doesn't have to be Tom Kakert, you know? So,
exactly.
So you were in attendance yesterday at the University of Iowa, at the practice facility, I believe is where it was at. When going into it, I guess, before we get to like specifics and stuff, what were your expectations? I know that's a loaded question, but you're used to a certain thing in Iowa City. What was yesterday like going in there and starting to cover a brand new basketball program?
Well, okay, first of all, this is season 33 for me.
Wow.
So, I know
So you started when you were 2 years old. That's amazing.
Pretty much. Yeah. I was a prodigy. No, what was really interesting was you walk through the door and you see a whole new group of players. Like we would always get a few minutes, in the summer of seeing Fran McCaffrey's practices, and you were always used to seeing the same guys, and the same coaching staff, that sort of thing. And you walk in yesterday, and it's a whole new staff, a whole new roster, with the exception of Cooper Koch, and it was just like, okay, who are these guys? And we did get to see a little bit more of practice than what we were supposed to, just because they were running a little late. So we got in there at the same time and actually got to see a little bit more. But, it was weird. It was like, okay, this is brand new. And so it was really kind of interesting to see them and get an idea of what his practices are like.
What was, I guess, the vibe before we start talking about each player? I'm not going to go through each player, but what stood out for you player-wise? But what stood out about practice? And I know it's funny because we get these open media things. How long did you get?
It was, probably about a half hour.
See, that's a decent chunk. John. I
Yes.
mean, sometimes it's like, here's a 10-minute football cracks me up. It's like you guys can be there
Yeah.
for the first 10 minutes of practice and they stretch. And it's like, well, we didn't see anything. That's a decent amount. Were you surprised? What was the vibe around, just the energy in practice, the type of practice, if that makes any sense? What was the practice mood like, if that makes any sense?
Really intense. I mean, you could see that in just the way those guys play defense, the way that they, just attacked everything. And, you have to do that, I think, at this time of year when you have an entirely new roster and it's an entirely new staff. And I think you have to set a tone early on. And from talking to the players that we were able to get after we were done, that has been a consistency of this first couple of weeks. Is there's been a lot of very intense workouts on the court, very intense workouts in the weight room, which I found interesting. And they're getting after it. And I think they realize, you look at the calendar, you think, oh, you got a long time. You really don't. And so when you've got a whole new group, and granted, some of these guys have played together. I mean, some of them are from Drake. But when you've got a whole new group, you've got to establish a tone. And you could kind of see yesterday that's where they're at right now.
I talked to several people that said, man, the defense was just different. Is that a thing? In a half-hour practice, I mean, was it more? Was it more intense? Was it more handsy or whatever you want to say? Talk about that side of things, because I think the one thing people expect is that Iowa basketball is going to be better on defense moving forward. What was the defensive intensity and mindset yesterday?
And that was one of the things Ben McCollum talked about, when he got hired, that they will always play defense. And you saw that yesterday. I mean, it was very physical, very, very up in your face sort of defense. And, they were pretty good on the back end. You saw some blocked shots. You saw a lot of contested plays at the rim. So that's a good sign for this team. I mean, I know, especially in the last few years, these were really good offensive teams that would have defensive breakdowns. And I think what this team is going to be I think it's going to be a pretty good offensive team with a lot less breakdowns. And that's what you're going to need to win in the Big Ten, to finish in that upper half of the league.
No, absolutely. John Bohnenkamp joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. There's this guy named Bennett Sturtz that everybody's excited about.
Yeah.
I know it's a half hour of practice, but, you're looking at a guy that some people have going to the first round of the NBA draft next year. He's a player of the year, preseason nominee. All those kind of hype and accolades are going to come their way. What'd you see from him? Did he fit the description? Obviously, we've seen him at Drake and all that kind of stuff, but seeing him in an Iowa practice uniform or whatever you will be, what was that like, and what did he look like?
You could tell that. I mean, and the funniest thing was I didn't watch a whole lot of him because I wanted to see some of the others, because you knew what he could do. And I think what he can do will really translate to the Big Ten. And, and like you said, his name's coming up as a first-round draft pick in the NBA. That says to me he's going to be able to play in the Big Ten. And that says to me he's going to be able to do a lot of good things. The one good thing about it, he's going to have a lot of talent around him. And so, I didn't really, focus on him that much. I wanted to see what some of these other guys could do. And so you can see that from what I saw, he's a really good player. I mean, obviously. And but he's got a lot to work with around him. And I think he's going to make them better. And that's kind of what you need. It's obviously it's what you need out of that spot. And you're going to see him do a lot of good things. You
look at who's around him. I want to start with maybe the one familiar face that Iowa fans know being in an Iowa uniform is Cooper Koch. And we had Cooper on the show when he decided to go back to the University of Iowa. He's heading back there as the guy who's been there, but he's almost like behind when it comes to everybody played together. Not everybody, but there's 5 or 6 of them that played together. 6, I think, that played together. Drake. What did he look like? He's healthy. And John, I'll tell you, I saw him in high school, and I think he's really good. And I know that people said he kind of bulked up a little bit. Your thoughts on Cooper Koch? And that's a young man that I have the bar set pretty high on myself. I think he's going to be pretty good.
I do too. And part of it is because when he was healthy last year, he did a lot of good things. And you kind of thought in November, December, late November and December, when he was on the court, you thought he would be a big part of that rotation getting into January and February. You thought he would just grow into that role. And then, of course, his health issues popped up and his season was over with. What I saw yesterday was, I mean, yeah, he has bulked up. If he is healthy, he's going to have a really good season, I think. There's just, like you said, there's a lot of talent there. And so his health did come up yesterday, and he said right now he has been going full bore. And so I think he's poised to have a great season. One of the things we asked him about was, you are the only, scholarship player returning. What's that like? And for him, he's getting to know a whole new team in a familiar atmosphere. So he's kind of like the tour guide, here's where you're telling these guys, here's where you go eat, here's where you got to go to do this, that sort of thing. And so that, I think that's kind of helped him, work his way into this group that, hey, this is the guy that's been here before. He knows where everything's at. And so I do think that he is going to have a really good season, if he stays healthy, and I don't see any reason why I won't. But I do think it is a different situation for him, as the lone guy there. But I think he's fit into that role very well.
John Bohnenkamp joining us right now and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. John, you look at the new guys, and you said you wanted to watch some of the new guys, and you're a Wiley veteran, so you know exactly what you're doing. But did you have like a roster kind of by you to make sure you knew who was who, or because it's a brand new thing? What was the thought process there, and then also who popped out, who stood out as somebody who may be impressed in that 30 minutes of getting a glimpse at the new Iowa basketball team?
I did call up the roster on my phone. Because I'm like, okay, who are some of these guys? And some of them didn't have their numbers on. So again, you're trying to figure out who everybody is. But, I really like the freshmen. Trevin Jurek looked really good. The big center that they got, that they were able to flip from UNI. Cooper Koch talked about this, and you kind of saw it a little bit. Ben McCollum's son, Peyton, looked pretty good. And, I know that there was a lot of criticism. You saw some things from Iowa fans the day he signed, but it was like, this is a guy that put up really good numbers and was a first-team All-State pick in the top, the highest class in Iowa, took his team to the state championship game. When he played in Missouri, took his team to the state championship game. He's a kid who knows how to play basketball. And, Cooper Koch is like, he's been one of the ones that's really impressed him. So I think, you saw out of some of these the really younger guys that we don't know a lot about, these are guys that might be able to give them some help this year, as this summer progresses and they get stronger and they learn some things. Who knows where they're going to fit in, but they can give them some help, I think.
Please tell me McCollum's son's not 5'9", like Little Lick.
No.
As long as he's not 5'9".
He's a decent sized kid, and he can get to the basket. And you saw that on a couple of the things they were running. One time he went in and he got his shot blocked, and then he went in and made a layup on the exact same player when they ran it again. So you can tell. I mean, obviously, when you're a coach's kid, you know the game.
Yeah.
And you can tell he knows the game, but you can tell he's got a skill set there that how much does it translate to this year? I don't know. But I think if you need him, I think he's there, and I think he can do some things. This wasn't a bad pickup at all.
Yeah. One player I'm intrigued by is Tavion Banks, not to be confused with Tavian Banks. And of course, that's the fun thing about it. And
Right.
He said he dealt with that at Drake. He said when he was at Drake and got to Drake, people were like, hey, are you the son of? And he had to look it up and all that kind of stuff. But I think he can be a really good contributor to this basketball team next season. What'd you see from him when it comes to how he can fit at the University of Iowa next year?
Fundamentally sound, and you can see that with all the Drake guys. And the guys that Ben McCollum has coached before, they know how to win, and he knows how to win. And so, again, I just was really impressed with how he played. I was impressed with how all those guys played because they have won games. They won 31 games last year, Drake. So you could see that these guys really fit in well together. They know what they're doing, and then when you add around the other stuff, I like where they're at, and I like where he's at as a player. He's going to give them good size guy, and that was one of the things people always talked about when they were when they were putting this class together, are they going to have enough size to compete in the Big Ten? I think they will, and I think he's one of them that's going to really help them out.
That you're right. That is the intriguing thing, is how many big guys. And it's funny because Kakert's talked a lot about on here, big guys don't grow on trees and they're expensive these days, which is crazy to even talk about because, I talked to you 5 years ago about expensive these days and you just kind of chuckle, but that's where we're at when it comes to college basketball as well. You got to watch this Iowa basketball team and you, two of the three biggest acquisitions, heck yeah, that's what it is, acquisitions, weren't out there. The housing kid from Kansas State, Fulgaris, he's overseas playing a little basketball, I think, right now. How'd they look? And then, what have you heard about those two and the fact that they're going to be added to this mix with, and those are two of probably the most talented additions to come onto the University of Iowa basketball team.
Yeah, that was the one thing yesterday. We didn't get to see one of them. And I both of them, I think, are going to add that outside shooting. I mean, obviously, Brendan Housen's as good a shooter as you're going to find. And that was a really good pickup for them. And he said, we did talk to him yesterday, and he's coming off an injuries, some off-season stuff, and he hasn't been cleared for contact yet. But this is a guy that can shoot threes. And with Fulgaris, same sort of deal, a big who can step out and shoot threes. So there's some dimensions there that we didn't see yesterday that I think are going to be a big part of this team and the way he plays. With Fulgaris playing in overseas, that international experience always helps those guys. And so, to do that this summer, come back, in the fall, again, I always kind of feel bad for him because he's going to have to kind of fit in now, once he gets back. But I do think there's a dimension to them offensively and defensively too, I think. But there's a dimension to them that is really going to make this team special, I think.
No, I would absolutely agree. John Bohnenkamp joining us right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. Was there anything that surprised you about yesterday? And maybe not, but was there anything that you walked in and you're like, well, this is a lot different? And besides the faces and the people, but I mean, was there anything that you little things that you're like, oh, I noticed they did that, or I noticed they did this certain thing, or was it just kind of Iowa basketball with just different faces, different people?
I wanted to watch how Ben McCollum coached, and he is very, very hands-on in the practices. And I'm not saying Fran wasn't, but it's a different kind of. I mean, he is consistently instructing, and there was a lot of, if some guy would mess up a play, he'd say, what did you need to do there? And whoever it was would say, I should have done this. So you can tell these guys are well taught. And I think a lot of that comes from he's very hands-on in practice. And so that's what I really liked. I never seen him, in a practice atmosphere. And so I wanted to see kind of how he handled things. And he was very, very hands-on. And, that impressed me, and I think that's why, all those players we talked to yesterday talked about culture and what he's able to do, and I think that's where a part of that comes from, is that he is so involved in what they do and in just the day-to-day operation.
I want to look big picture with you in Iowa basketball before I let you go, and I guess we'll start by backing up way back to what happened. I'm that guy that I give Fran his flowers. I appreciate a lot of what Fran did. I'm kind of joked with people that said, I would say, hey, I really wanted Fran to stick around just because of my guys. I wanted Brock and Owen to stay around as long as they could, just personally and selfishly as a person. But as an Iowa fan, I probably would have been I understand that maybe it's time for a reset, or the lack of attendance really drove me crazy and all those kind of things. But I also think Fran should get his flowers and all those kind of things, but I'm excited about a reset. Where were you at with Fran McCaffery, the program, the decision, I guess, if you will, from Beth Getz and moving on to a new era of Iowa basketball?
I was the same, and I said this to somebody about this. You could have made an argument for him to stay another year. He's your all-time winningest coach, but and they had a bad year. That a lot of that had to do with injuries to guys. But at the same time, if you're going to do that, that puts a lot of pressure on this season coming up. You would have had to retain that roster. You would have had to go out and find guys to fill in the holes that you need, and then you were going to have to win. And because if you didn't, then that sets you back even more. And they always say, if you're going to make that decision to make a change, you'd rather do it a year early than a year late. And so, again, I had a great relationship with Fran McCaffrey. I could, he was great to deal with, but at the same time, this is a business. And like you said, it is a reset. And there's now an excitement. People are talking about, again, people were asking questions yesterday. What'd you see? That sort of thing, like we've been talking about now. And so I do think that's good for the program. Now comes the next part of, how are you going to win this year? And I think they can do that. If this is a team that gets the NCAA tournament, and I think they can, this program, I think, really takes a turn back in the right direction. And so, I mean, there isn't a lot of pressure, there aren't a lot of expectations, outside the state, but if this team plays well and can entertain fans, then it will be a complete reset in my mind. And it's, the back in the other direction. Because again, the last couple of years, it just kind of felt like it was tailing off a little bit.
Yeah. John, I would always say results wise, or success wise, Fran had built up enough equity to get another year. I really, if you look at the wins and losses and those kind of things, it's that makes sense why it happened. He's had this much success. He's done this many things. Yes, March and the Sweet 16 thing and all that kind of stuff was out there and was a cloud over his head. And I understand that. But it was the energy in the program and the fact that as a youngster, and it too, growing up and watching that place full and rocking and rolling. I understand going down a little bit, but the way the numbers had gotten, it needed some energy. So with that being said, you kind of mentioned a little bit about the maybe renewed focus or energy from fans and what do they have to do to capitalize on that? Do you know what I mean? I feel like there is a great energy. Is it as much as, like you said, they got to be good and make the NCAA tournament? Or, they have to figure out some way to capitalize on the momentum right now, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I mean, if you look at some of the games they've got scheduled, on the non-conference schedule that have been announced, it's a good schedule for November and December that will drive fans in the coming games. You want to get off to a good start. That is going to be the biggest thing, next, when the season starts, that November and December schedule. You want to go out and get a couple big wins and show, if you do that, then you're going to start seeing sellout crowds in January and February. And, so the start of next season, on the court, results wise, is going to have a big impact on, what the rest of the year looks like in my mind. Because, if they go out and, they lose a couple of games they shouldn't lose, and everybody's going to be, even, which can happen in a first-year program. People are going to be like, here we go again. This isn't going to work, and they're going to be a little more skeptical. But if you go out and you get some of those wins, everybody says, he knows what he's doing. This is a really good group of guys. They're going to I will say this to Iowa fans, you're going to really like this team. And you're going to really like Ben McCollum. And so I don't want, it's easy to say be patient, but, in today's day and age, nobody's patient. But I think they will be really good, and I think they will get off to that good start.
John, I know that winning cures a lot, and I get that, but I feel like there's also a part of this program in the university and athletic department that needs to figure out the gap that's been created between, or the energy at Carver Hawkeye. And so I won't put your creative hat on, because yes, winning will probably cure a lot of those things and people will come back. But you've been to probably too many game day atmospheres at the University of Iowa and at Carver Hawkeye. How in the world, it's the $1 million question. I had Settles has been on here. Kent McCausland's been on here. I thought Cooper Koch was really interesting because he's like, I could talk about that all day. And he's like, you move fans here, you do this here, you do all these kind of things, which I thought was intriguing. If John was named the director of marketing relations of Carver Hawkeye Arena or whatever, what kind of things would you do to make the game day atmosphere or just the energy at Carver Hawkeye, besides the product on the court, better? Are there certain things you have, or what are your thoughts?
First of all, be media sits courtside.
Love it.
No, I mean, what is interesting, and I don't know the answer to that. That's a really hard question to answer. I will say this, that some of these things that people talk about, moving the students closer and all that, there's a chicken and egg thing to this. It's like, okay, we want to give the students seats, but they're not showing up right now. And what if we give them these seats and they still don't show up?
Then it looks really bad.
Yeah, and then now all of a sudden you've got all these empty courtside seats, or whatever. And I will say this, when they talk about student seating, when I was a student there, we were at the same angle, just on the other side of the court. So it's not something that's new where they're at. But again, that does, do you put this group of fans closer? But if they're not going to show up, what do you, so that is going to be the conundrum, I think, moving forward when they talk about seating and moving people here and there is, are these people going to be there to fill those seats? And so it's going to be a balancing act that they're going to have to make at some point.
Yeah, I can't.
And, again, they always, you point to Michigan State and, the Izzo and those kids all around the court. Well, they've been coming to games. And it's like, are you going to get a guarantee from the students that you're going to come to the games and sit in those seats? It's a very tough question to answer.
You wish they'd meet you halfway. If the team said to the students, "Hey, we're going to get a lot better this year. Can you show us yourselves getting better and showing up? And then maybe after this year, we can talk about us getting even better and you guys getting even better." You know what I mean? It's like, because I completely agree. And my thing too is, I used to say to people, like, we've taken my kids to games, and it's been when kids are at home for winter break, and it's like the students aren't there. And like, I'd have to explain to some of my kids a few years ago, like, no, it's usually a lot cooler and a lot rowdier, but like, they're not here. And like, why aren't they? And for the longest time, I was always like, well, they're on break. Well, then they come back from break and they still wouldn't show up, or they were before break and they weren't there. And so it became a bigger issue, but you do have to deal with the fact they go on spring break or winter break, and they're not there for a period of time and all that kind of stuff. But no, I always joke with Kaker that, like, I think I can go back to, and I covered him for 24 years, 25 years, whatever. I can go back to my first game, and I can go back to the last game from last year that I covered, and a lot about what Carver Hawkeye Arena was still the same, with the burrito push, and like there's certain, and like that's my thing too, is like, I think there's maybe a different way to tweak and bring some different things to Carver. And of course, you mentioned the big things too, is, and that's I completely agree with what you said too, because like, yes, it's like having kids. Like, do you give your kids something, or do you make them earn something? And sometimes if you give them something, they don't earn it, they don't take it, they take it for granted, and all those kind of things as well. All right, John, before I let you go, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was, and again, the big balancing act right now is you got to come up with money. You're chasing money more than ever right now as an athletic department. Do you really want to piss off the donors and move them away from the court?
Wow, it's a great point.
Again,
revenue.
Another thing
right
you got to come up with. Yes, exactly.
It's all about revenue and everything they're doing, and you understand it. I mean, that's and especially when you take a big chunk of the budget and take it out of it, they got to figure out a way to fill that chunk of the budget up. So yeah, it's funny. It's kind of sometimes back to kids, but like, why can't we get this? Why can't we get that? Well, it's because we're not made of money. And the same thing with like, I mean, the athletic department isn't made of money. They got to figure things out that end as well. Do you have and it's just after one practice, so I know I'm trying not to put cart ahead of horse, but, and you'll learn more, but do you have an expectation of like, this can be an NCAA tournament team, this should be an NCAA tournament team? And it's weird because like back in the day, like you had a coaching change, and usually you had, this is the first year of that regime, it's not going to be very good, you're going to have to grind through. But with the way things are with the transfer portal and NIL and all those kind of things, I think they've done a really good job assembling a roster. Is this an NCAA tournament type of team?
Yes, I think so. And I mean, again, I go back to, you've got guys who win. You've got guys who have won. And when you win 31 games at the Division I level, I don't care what conference you're in, you're doing some good things. So, it's just going to be a matter of how does that translate to the Big Ten? There's a different dynamic in that league with, the 20-game schedule, and the West Coast trips and the travel and all that. But these guys know how to win. And I do think it is, an upper half Big Ten team, and I think they get to the tournament. It's just a matter of right now where all this kind of fits. And from a chemistry standpoint, I really like this team, and that is such a big step in a first-year program to have that kind of chemistry, and I think this group does.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Hey, how about the fact that they have one of the best players in the conference at arguably the most important position in the conference in basketball at a point guard position? Like, I think if you have one of the best players and he runs the show, it could do a lot of good things for the University of Iowa. It will be intriguing. This was so much better than Kakert. Like, John, you were a breath of fresh air when it comes to Iowa athletics. I might get rid of the old guy, and go with the good-looking younger guy.
You might as well. I mean, it's these things happen. You change lineups, and so sometimes you have to do that. So.
I love it. John, I appreciate all the insight. We'll talk to you again here real soon.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. That is John Bohnenkamp, longtime beat writer for 33 years. He looks like he's 35. So great to catch up with him and talk a little Iowa basketball. A very intriguing year when it comes to the University of Iowa next winter at Carver Hawkeye Arena and in Iowa City. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Friday right here in the Quad Cities.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a rainy Friday in the Quad Cities. I thought it was supposed to rain during the week. This one snuck up on me. I had no clue until I looked outside this morning that it was going to rain all morning. But man, it feels like a good day for a nap. Doesn't happen with 4 kids, but feels like a good day with a nap at least. So want to thank you guys for watching so far. A lot of fun today. Pat Anger after the mess up yesterday on today. And I really thought that was some of his best stuff. and what we did was I tasked him with, it's year number 27 under Kirk Ferentz. Our good friend Tom Kakert's doing with the Hawkeye Report podcast, top 27 games of the Kirk Ferentz era, which is going to be fantastic. But I just said to Pat, I texted him, I said, hey, give me your top 5 games from the Kirk Ferentz era. And I had no doubt in my mind that he would just tell me 5 games from the 09 team. And he didn't. He researched it. He did well. His list was really good. You can check it out on social media. It's going to be up there real soon. Or go back and listen to the podcast as well. But some really, really special, fun games in the Kirk Ferentz era. So hats off to Pat. I give him a hard time with a lot of stuff, but he done well with that. Also, our thanks to John Bohnenkamp for coming on and talking about the Iowa basketball program. The media got a sneak peek at Ben McCollum and Company yesterday. Really good insight from John, who's been covering Iowa athletics and Iowa basketball for 33 years. So really good stuff from him. Go check that kind of stuff out. Throughout the week, we've had Dave Heller, Doug Bland, Andrew Lehman, and many, many more. The new Alleman football coach, Tom Barber, was on as well. So check out all the shows from this week. Jake Brend yesterday, great with the Iowa State stuff as well. So go check out all of that kind of stuff as well. Ked and Tom were both on this week. So good stuff throughout the week. Next week, I'm pretty excited. I think on Monday we'll have Cooper Koch. We had Cooper on once already this season. It was when he recommitted to the University of Iowa. We're going to have him back on talking about what it's been like being the lone leftover from the Fred McCaffrey era to Ben McCollum, what that's been like, how excited we can be, all those kind of things. So we'll catch up with Cooper Koch, I believe, on Wednesday. Almost certain on that. Also on Tuesday, really excited to have Illinois women's basketball coach and Clinton native Shauna Green. That'll be on Tuesday. So a lot of good stuff next week as well. Efforting to get Logan Lee locked down for a day next week, so we'll have Logan on. And also we'll keep talking about the John Deere Classic because next Friday, a week from right now, we'll be getting ready for the final list for the field for the John Deere Classic. So we'll keep our eye on that as well. And also an announcement next week with my good friend Greg Armstrong from View from the West. Something we've been working on, we're really excited about. So that announcement sometime next week as well from View from the West and Greg Armstrong. So a lot of good stuff to get to. I don't know why I keep doing this. That's the second or third time I kept doing that, but I don't know. If you're listening to this and not watching, don't worry about it. But it should be a great week next week as well. I want everyone to have a great weekend. If you are out and about and want to listen to the shows, please do that as well. Enjoy the weekend. Stay cool. It's supposed to be super hot out there, and we'll see you guys back here on Monday. In the meantime, we also want to thank our sponsors for allowing us to do this silly little show each and every day right here in the Quad Cities. 5 of the best in the business, and then, of course, soon adding Mobile Party Experience as well to that list as well. So you'll see their commercial up and running next week, and really excited to start that partnership with Mobile Party Experience as well. So we want to thank these sponsors, and most important, we want to thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back right here on Monday on Off the Air.